Hello, everyone. Warm welcome to our SAP community call. Good morning from Germany. I'm Lena. I'm part of the SAP Community and Influencers team, and I'm moderating our call today with and for the SAP S/4HANA team. So thank you all for joining our SAP community call today. You all know what it is about, namely new after-sales service in SAP for customers using SAP ECC customer service and SAP CRM service. And I'm more than happy to be joined by our two experts from the SAP S/4HANA Solution Management and SAP S/4HANA Service team. So Noboru Ota, our Vice President and Chief Expert in the SAP S/4HANA Solution Management, starting with the presentation today. And co-speaker Oliver Frick, Chief Product Expert in the SAP S/4HANA Service team. And little surprise for you, this is, so to say, part one of our service in SAP S/4HANA call. This is now in May, and we'll have a part two in October, for which we'll definitely also post in the SAP community and let you know about. We'll get started now with a 30-minute presentation, and we'll have enough time towards the end for a dedicated Q&A. So please, please, please use this time now that you have with Noboru and Oliver to address your questions that you have. And we have enough time, so I will be moderating the Q&A to Oliver and Noboru. And yeah, with that being said, I don't want to take too much time of your time then, Noboru and Oliver. So let's get started. I'll hand over.
Great. Thank you very much. Okay, let me start sharing my screen. Hope you can see the title screen, I'm hoping. Yeah? Yes. Okay, good.
Yes.
All right. Let's get started. Thank you, Lena, and warm welcome from my side as well. My name is Noboru Ota, and I'm going to take you through new after-sales service with SAP, with a focus on S/4HANA, especially for customers and consultants, anyone who is involved in SAP ECC customer service and SAP CRM service. Let's get started. Now, before we dive into the demonstration, system demonstration, let me quickly set the scene. Yeah, we just kicked off Sapphire this year in Orlando, US, and we also got many questions like the ones you see. What's different with SAP S/4HANA compared to, let's say, ECC or a CRM, for instance? Or what can you not do with SAP ECC now that you can do with S/4HANA? Or we talked a lot about SAP Business Technology Platform as innovation platform in Sapphire and previously. And the question is, apologies for the misspelling, that's my bad, but how can we use SAP BTP with S/4HANA, especially in the context of after sales and aftermarket service, right? And we would like to sort of tackle and address these questions today. And let me paraphrase these questions in the following way, right? Business organizations need to innovate and create new business operating models. That's not news, right? They have to do this. At the same time, unless you're a new startup company, you also need to keep the current business operating models going, right? You can't just turn off the light and jump onto the new frontier. You need to keep the current business floating. At the same time, you need to think about how to innovate, how to create new revenue streams, how to create new business operating model. So these are the sort of conundrum that many organizations have been tackling, right? And from SAP point of view, the question becomes like this. The first point of innovation is essentially a business issue of differentiation or innovation, right? How can we SAP support your differentiation? How can we support your innovation? That's question number one. And at the same time, how can we also support the business issue of continuity, keeping the lights on, keeping the current business going maybe improving the efficiency a little bit, right? As organizations move to the differentiation in the context of after sales. So this is the question we'd like to address in the series that Lena mentioned, right? So part one today, I would like to focus on the issue of differentiation, issue of innovation. How can SAP with S/4HANA and BTP support differentiation? And then part two of the series in October, November this year, we're planning to do, is going to be about continuity. So we would like to first focus on differentiation today. And I think if you are in live stream on YouTube, I believe you can ask questions in the chat. Unfortunately, I don't think we enable you to turn on the microphone and speak, but please do not hesitate to ask questions in the chat. Either Oliver will immediately answer your questions in the chat, or we will take dedicated time to address your questions one by one. And if you're looking at this live stream as a recording later, we would love to engage with you in, let's say, LinkedIn, or we have also a blog posting in SAP community under my name. So if you have follow-on questions, we would be happy to interact with you in other forms like chat in LinkedIn or SAP community blog. Okay, with that said, let's dive in. Right, so the question of differentiation, right? And really our answer for the issue of differentiation is a platform where you can build your new capabilities and processes. And for that, we have SAP Business Technology Platform, right? Or SAP BTP in short. And we offer a portfolio of business applications in the cloud and on-premise, and of which SAP S/4HANA, as you can see in the middle, is the centerpiece. And the combination of S/4HANA and SAP BTP enables you to extend your business capabilities, such as sales and after-sales service, customer service, and lets you create a new business operating model by reassembling or recomposing what you already have. And if you're missing some capabilities, also lets you develop and bring in new capabilities as you need them and combine all of them to create new business model. So that's kind of the basic model we have. And the example of a new business operating model that we would like to see in today's session in demonstration is the outcome-based business, or some say everything as a service, X as a service. So X stands for any, so it can be anything as a service or everything as a service, right? And what is this business model? What is an outcome-based business model? And simply put, it's a commercial model where your customers pay for the outcome of your products or using your products, not for the products themselves. And this typically means that your customers do not buy the products, but subscribe to the services you provide. You still manufacture, produce, make products, equipment, appliances, sell and deliver them to your customers, right? It's a sort of similar process as the normal produce and sell. You would have the logistics process that are very similar, or maybe even the same, to the normal procedure, right? One main difference is that you would typically lease the products to your customers. The transfer of ownership does not occur. You would keep your products as your own assets and lease the products to your customer for them to use them, right? And your customers and you agree on certain KPIs or some indicators of an outcome or usage to pay for. Or alternatively, very simply, agree on a periodic subscription payment. Excuse me. It's a sort of pay-as-you-go model for equipment. Hence, the model is also known as equipment as a service. There are many different names, but point to the same concept, same business model, subscription for your assets. Now, here's the demo scenario. Let's consider a fictional company. Imagine that you're a manufacturer of painting robots for production lines of a car factory, which looks like what you see in the video in the screen. We produce basic components, for production lines of a car factory, which looks like, excuse me, which looks like this. Yeah, so these are the products, sort of basic components, and stock them as semi-finished products. We then configure these robots to the specifications of customers to make a robotic system installed onto a production line for the car, right? And we produce robots and deliver them. We also provide installation and training service for operation, for the initial operation service, and long-term regular maintenance and repair service contracts, and also provision of consumables such as paint needed for the robots to operate at a discount fixed rate. So this is the scenario, and let's dive into the system demonstration. So first part is to configure price and quote. So as sales representative, so I will be a sales representative on an account team for a customer. And we are going to create a quote for a customer and create a sales order. So that's the first part. Let me dive into the system. So in the screen, and I'm going to just navigate myself to a list of quotation. All right, so here's the list of existing quotations, and with the click of the plus button, I'm going to create a new quotation. Right, navigate into the involved parties tab and select the customer we're supporting at the moment. So self-driving cars is a sort of new startup company who are partnering with us to create a new factory line, right? And we would like to add our solution bundle to the quotation. And as you can see, SAP lets you have a catalog of existing products, including solution bundles, structured in a very easy to navigate way, very hierarchical, and navigate into the list of products we can select. So here's the solution bundle. And I'm going to just press configure button to put this into a quote. But before doing so, I need to configure this product bundle. So, excuse me, our engineering and commercial teams have already made available a number of configuration options for this product bundle. So let me just clear my throat. Right, and then we enter a number of sort of parameters, right? And and then we, as a account team, need to discuss with the customers, agree on a specific specifications for product and service, and enter the result into the quotation we see here, right? Okay, so. Right, and it shows outcome-based business solution as a type, and also entering the number of robot cells. So we have a robot cell. Each cell contains 4 robots, and we have different robots for different size of the cars, right? So, so just putting in number 1. Sorry, the 1 cell for small and medium cars, and 2 cells for large-sized cars. So in total, 3 cells. Each cell contains 4 robots, so 12 robots in total added on. And as we add all these robots, notice that the price on the quotation hasn't changed, and that's because we would like to offer these robots with no cost upfront, right? And so the question becomes, how do we get the money? How do we raise our revenues? And that comes from subscriptions. Now we're adding. So we have two options here. So one option is our main subscription based on the number of units painted. That's a first subscription. And this comes with a minimum guarantee from the customer. So we get the minimum revenue coming in, but anything beyond that threshold, the minimum value that our robots paint for the customers, that will generate additional revenues on top of the minimum guarantee. And we also agreed with the customer that we will have an efficiency target. That's the second sort of secondary subscription, which is based on the throughput, defined as the number of cars painted per minute. And we agree that we take the monthly average of this efficiency target. And based on that, we will get a revenue bonus on top of what we already get from the number of units painted. So that's the kind of the setup that we agreed on, right? And then if you see the configuration tree, we see robot cells, 3 cells, and then we also see the 2 subscriptions added on. Yeah, number of units painted, the main subscription, and the secondary one for the efficiency target based on throughput. And we can also click on each one of these to further fine-tune the parameters based on the customer specifications, like what's the number of minimum units guaranteed and so forth. But for the demonstration purpose, we're going to take the default as they are and move on to the next step and add this entire configured bundle onto our quote. And for this quote, you can also put the quote into a different format like PDF with a professional layout or Word document to have a negotiation afterwards. But so we're gonna sort of skip this part. Sorry. And just place an order for the sake of demonstration. Good. So that was the, excuse me, sorry, let me just stop this. And so that was the initial step. We created a quotation and placed an order. Now, oh, sorry. Now, as a second step, now the quote has been accepted by the customer and order has been placed. This then automatically generates multiple follow-on documents. The process sort of branches out into different processes, so follow-on processes across different departments for them to fulfill the order for their own part. For instance, the robots need to be shipped and to physically deliver to the customer. So that goes on to the logistics department or supply chain department. The installation service need to be handled by our field technicians. So service department will receive the service order for them to plan and send technicians on site and also for the training. Right, and so forth. So we will look at this in the system in a minute. Right, so in this screen, we're just going into the service quotation accepted and generated. Right, so just clicking on the service quotation and moving down to the list of items. And as you can see, all of the bundle solution line items are put into the quotation accepted. And so, line number 10 represents the entire bundle, including the robots and also subscriptions. And then also the service for installation and also training. And then the last two line items are for the service contracts for maintenance and repairs in separate line items put into a single service contract. So as you can see, this is nicely structured, organized in hierarchy, right, in the quotation. And let me then open up subscription bundle. So this one contains the two subscriptions. The first one is the main one for the number of units painted, and the second one is for the throughput. And clicking on this, so it expands the variant configuration to see the parameters we selected. We chose the default as they were, but we can also see the resultant configuration from the quotation. Right, and then let me also open up the robots bundles. Right, so I'm just struggling to open that thing, sorry. And then open up, as you can see, 3 cells, 1 for small and medium-sized cars and 2 for the large cars. Opened up the large car cell and then contains 4 robots. And let me also here draw attention to item category. So this is a subscription business, right? It's different to produce and sell model. So in a traditional seller model, you have an inventory of robots and sell them to customers, and that raises the revenue, and the production cost will become the costs, right? So that's a normal accounting product cost accounting procedure. For subscription business model, as we mentioned, it's a sort of asset lease. You keep the ownership of the assets. Transfer of the ownership does not occur. So the inventory will need to be become our asset accounting, right? And also trigger the asset depreciation. So that is actually handled by item category. So from a system configuration level, we can still keep the existing supply chain capabilities and business model as they are, but flicking on this sort of item category, and obviously you need to set this up, but that lets you quickly adjust your business process, including the accounting procedure, accounting model, based on the business model. So this is really powerful within SAP S/4HANA. It's just a nature of ERP integrated, between logistics and finance. Very powerful. Also open up the configuration for the robots, just to show in the configuration. Right. And just closing this and moving down to just to show you the follow-on documents. Yeah, so you can see the follow-on documents already generated for order fulfillment. And these are just standard SAP objects, right? So the first one is sales order. Like I said, this is for the robots to be still shipped and physically delivered to the customer. So supply chain logistics. The second one is the service order. It is passed on to the service department for the technicians to be on site. And optionally, you could also consider connecting it to the mobile device with the field service management, so that the field technicians can view the same sort of business information, even offline, and do the work more efficiently with a connected mobile device, right? And the third one is subscription. And so this is the meat of this commercial model, and it lets you collect the usage data of the robot's usage and bill the customer accordingly. Right? And the last one is the service contract we saw up here. So this is for the maintenance and repair, and it governs the terms and conditions when it comes to maintenance and repair services. So you can adjust the pricing for the services. Could be 0, of course, if it's already included. And it can also be used to generate regular maintenance service orders according to a schedule. For those who are familiar with SAP, it would be maintenance plan linked with the service contract. so that you can see, you can automatically generate service orders based on maintenance plan. So that's the order fulfillment part. We're using a, excuse me, I keep doing this, I apologize for this. Okay, so that was the second part, after placed an order, and how does the follow-on process continues? How does follow-on process branches out into different sub-processes, if you will, across different departments? And you can see that these are nicely organized based on an existing SAP business capabilities. So lastly, all right, let's talk about monitoring KPIs and visualizations. And obviously, I guess, for this, we need to have accumulation of data for the subscriptions, right? Cars painted and payment occurred. And for this demonstration, behind the scenes, we have already done this and imported data for the past 2 years, right? Then I would like to show how monitoring KPIs and visualization might look for the past 2 years of this subscription business. Right. So let me just switch again back to the demonstration. Excuse me. Right, so what you see here is a profitability dashboard for the robotic payment automation bundle with 2 subscriptions, right? It's not the same order, but it's the same sort of line items generated. And then we can also customize the visualizations, yeah, so to suit the needs of our organization or your organization. So these are just, take these just in sample, right, that we built for the demonstration. And what you see in the top half shows the, excuse me, the cumulative revenue for the quotation and all the subsequent changes, subsequent business transactions, right? And on the right-hand side shows the actuals and plan for cost and revenue in this way. And the bottom half here shows the cumulative costs, cumulative revenues, and cumulative profits. Now, by clicking on this, the drop-down menu, we can easily navigate to different visualizations and dashboards. And what we would like to see now is the trend over time for the past 2 years. Right? Just to dive into the trend. And the first line chart shows you the trend of actual costs and actual revenues. And let me just go back in time to the beginning of this deal, this subscription. So we sold this order, the robotic automation bundle, in February 2020. And as you can see, for the first few months, so I'm just looking at revenue in orange, and then I'm going to highlight the actual costs. For the first few months, revenue was consistently below the cost. That means we were not making money until June 2021, when we had a break even, essentially. And then, as you can see, after that, picking up, the revenue is picking up, and since around August onwards, basically it's in the black, in making profits ever since. So that's a very good trend. And shifting our eye to the costs for the same period of 2020. Now you can see that, this line chart shows you the trend in costs, and you would notice that there's a couple of spikes, but especially in November and December, you have exceptionally high costs, right? And then we also check the revenue for the same time period, right? Again, November and December in 2020, we had a drop in revenue. So that's something that, as a business owner for this contract, I guess, something that you would like to delve into, right? So to do that, again, drop down menu to get to another dashboard, details, to see cost breakdown as an example. Right. So for the same time period, so the first line chart shows you the cost breakdown. So costs allocated to different categories, right, for this subscription. And now just again, go back to the same time period, November and December in 2020. And as you can see this green line that shows the service personnel repairs. Essentially, this is repair service that and technicians we needed to send to the customer site to do actual repair. So for some reason, we had a bit of a problem in the products, and we needed to send technicians. So that added to the cost. So that seems to be the cause of the cost spikes for these 2 months. Right. I'm just trying to get to the left of the screen here. I just okay, yeah. So this is the right, and as you can see, the cost breakdown is recorded. So the first pink one, magenta, I think pink magenta, is the initial installation and training service we saw. It's one-off, and the blue line that represents the depreciation. And like we said, it's an asset lease essentially. So in the robots are still our own assets. So that means we need to depreciate the assets. So that's the cost for them. And the regular maintenance service is trending consistently. So that's just normal, nothing exceptional. So the only exception seems to be this repair that we needed to do on site by sending technicians. So just a very quick demonstration of what KPI monitoring and visualization might be able to do for subscription business. So that was it for the demonstration. Yeah, and obviously that was just a tiny fraction of what analytics and visualizations can do, and also the entire business process. For the analytics and visualizations, SAP obviously, I guess, ships data models that are business relevant. So from day one, you can start customizing the dashboards and the visualizations to your organization's need. Right. So that was a very quick demonstration of outcome business with SAP, and which is relevant for after sales and aftermarket service processes. It's a new business model that SAP supports with S/4HANA and the cloud applications powered by SAP BTP, Business Technology Platform. Two key takeaways for you. One, the combination of S/4HANA and SAP BTP enables you to extend your existing business capabilities, such as sales, as you saw, and also after-sales service, and let you create a new business operating model by reassembling what you already have and develop or bring in new capabilities as you need them. So that's key takeaway number one. Key takeaway number two is when you introduce a new business operating model, such as an outcome-based business, you are often presented with challenges beyond logistics, beyond supply chain, right? In this case, we saw financial accounting and data for KPI monitoring. The integrated nature of an ERP solution for operations, logistics, and financials help you adjust your business in a more agile manner. We talked about very concretely the item category, and you could configure new item category to switch from the normal produce and sell accounting model to keeping the ownership and asset accounting with the depreciation. So that was one example, but this is key takeaway number one. Financials comes with operations together in SAP, and that's very powerful. Right, with this, that's a demonstration. And to learn more, there are a number of links. I think I would probably need to do something about how audience can get the links, but I'd probably use my blog. to have these links so that you can learn more. So SAP S4HANA service, all these public pages, right? And for the subscription, usage and outcome-based business solutions, there's a link. The configuration, pricing and quotation solutions, you can also have a look, and BTP, of course. Right, and lastly, I want to just draw your attention to this XaaS advisory service. So if you would like to sort of discuss how you can transition from the current normal business model from produce and sell to outcome-based business model, there's a advisory service that we do, and there's a YouTube video clip. And if you have some questions, I think I encourage you to contact this email and discuss the matters with the experts from our consulting team. Right, and so this was the part one of our session for after sales and aftermarket service, focused on differentiation. And we plan to do part two of the series in October, November timeframe, after the new release of S4HANA around that time. And the second part, we would like to focus on the continuity. And with this, I think I'm going to close my presentation and move on to Q&A. Thank you, Lena and Oliver.
Thank you, Noboru. And also for the outlook, that there will be the continuity part taking place sometime in October, November. I will share the link of our new event listing and co-roles with everyone now for the overview, that you know where to find that upcoming SAP community call once we have it scheduled. The chat is very lively. There is yeah, it is between Manish and Oliver. Yeah, already there's been a few questions along your presentation. Oliver, I guess you have the better overview of, are all the questions, have you all answered all the questions?
Yes,
because
right.
You've been busy in the chat.
Yeah, thank you. So far, yes. I mean, most of the questions was actually, yeah, Manish, thank you very much for all the questions. And I think most of the questions I could answer. The others I will provide answers later. Now, most of the discussion actually was around the continuity aspect that we plan for the next session, and it was actually for moving SAP CRM service to S4. What are the prerequisites? What is the recommendation here? And also a quick chat about CS. And actually, both of these topics will be part of the second session we have in October. Right? And I think they are, valuable. So we didn't want to do it right now. We are shipping the S4HANA service, new S4HANA service version in October, November with the 2022 release, and there are a lot of capabilities in there that will make that migration for existing customers much easier. And we really wanted to, show the full strengths and the full capabilities in that, and once we have shipped it. All right. So for the other questions that we have, currently just checking, there weren't really too much questions about these new capabilities, and really, again, probably also making Noburu's point, please, if you have an existing system, if you are running on SAP CRM or on ECC CS, and if you plan a migration to S4 service, please take a look at the new capabilities, right? We just highlighted a few of them. I mean, really, there are two aspects. One is the technical migration, lift and shift. Yes, this is what we want to make easier. We're working to make your migration, what you have, easier. To have basically the same as you had before, but this cannot be the goal. Really, the goal must be for you to help to improve your service capabilities, your after-sales service capabilities in all areas. And we just picked it, some of them which were on the commercial side, but there are more in field service management, and there are in finance, and we can add, and we will and should add many more, right? I'm not sure, Noboru, what your thinking is on that.
Yeah, I mean, if there's I guess, a lot of requests or demand, we could also consider another session, right? To maybe showcase what we have. I think the assumption we had is that people tend to be more familiar with what we already have in terms of the existing service capabilities within S/4HANA. And I think we wanted to kind of highlight what's beyond, the I guess basic capabilities. But if many people would like to see the basic capabilities within S/4HANA service, then that might be another topic that we could try and address. Maybe no promise, but it may be a signal that we're getting.
Right.
Maybe part 3
maybe
of the series.
Yeah. Yeah, and also Manish was asking really a good question. How can customers see and experience these new capabilities, right? And I think we will also, release. We use your blog, and we will use some demos and expose some demos to make that more visible, right? That you can see what are these new capabilities.
It's a good point. Maybe one Manish might know, and people might know this. There's also sort of, I guess, we call it appliances, fully configured S/4HANA appliance. It's essentially the cloud image that you can install onto a cloud service like Google platform or Amazon, right? So you can create your own S/4HANA instance, and it's already fully configured with the service scenarios already running. So that might be one way to show at least the basic capabilities. I have to add that these new combined capabilities are difficult to show only with a S/4HANA instance like we just discussed, right? We need to have BTP and other components, but this fully configured appliance, what do you call that, test drive, I guess, it might be a first step for that. Maybe we should have a link to that as well. Maybe I'm going to just consider adding it.
All right. The question from Manish, how can customers view those future capabilities? That will be part of the...
So future capabilities, it's an interesting one. And so this video is, I guess, this live stream will be recorded, and recording of it might be one of that. And also my plan is to produce a more compressed demonstration video for the scenario we just ran. So, and I hope that we can publish it rather quickly. So that might be another thing. But also, you can also contact, I guess, your local SAP sales account team or consulting team and take you through the demonstration, I'm guessing.
All right. Okay, perfect. And Manish, if there is more generic questions or questions that you would like to address in the SAP community, I hope that you know which link to use, just in case, that to ask your question. So more than basically appropriate to post them here. There we go. Any more questions? We have another 15 minutes time for you guys to type in the chat and let us know what questions to address or questions regarding the roadmap. Maybe you guys can share. I mean, we will have a second part or even maybe a third part. But Manish has another question. Are there any plans to update SAP Service Book on SAP Press? Is he referring to your book?
Yeah, probably.
Noboru?
No plan. Sorry, no plan, no commitment.
When did you publish that one? I looked it up earlier.
I think that was beginning of 2000. Sorry, that somehow COVID situation blurs, I think, not just my memory, but everyone's memory somehow. I don't know if it's last year or 2 years ago or this year. I think it was beginning of 2021. I'm guessing. Sorry, I'm just...
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's not too old.
No.
Like update related.
Basic stuff is the same. Yeah, okay. Mostly. And I think I might have hinted at what we demonstrated today back then. I don't think I fully dedicated any chapter to it, but I think I hinted at it.
The book that we're referring to, I posted Noboru's blog post about this community call at the very beginning here in the chat. And in there, he linked to this book that Manish is referring to. And another question, also by Manish, are there to publish any SAP learning journeys for S4 service?
I thought it was already available.
Right. Yeah, I think we have two journeys and two trainings available. Let me quickly dig out the number and post the session numbers in the chat. And also, Manish had another question regarding, well, actually, that's going for the second session. He wanted to have a dedicated session on migration for SAP CRM customers to S/4HANA service. Yeah, that will be covered. And actually, if we look at the existing customers, and we presented these, if you look at the existing customers that we have that run after-sales service in SAP systems, we have two groups. One is the one in the SAP CRM world, and then there's the customers that run service after-sales service in the ERP, in the ECC system. And also the second one is actually a pretty large group. It's actually, I guess, probably 5 times larger than the group that runs service in SAP CRM. And we have different answers for the two groups, right? Because they really come from very different technologies and very different approaches how to do service. We hope that we can squeeze in both of these in the next session. If not, we're going to make more sessions, right? But really, we want to make it, we want to bring out that method. We're going to explain how to do that, right? So there are not, I mean, if you move from one system to another, right, it's always a bit painful. We're trying to reduce that pain. But I think we have quite some things that will ease that migration, right? I mean, if you look at the SAP CRM customer, so we have a similar object model that we have in S4, which actually kind of allows you most lift and shift, right? Because same technology basis. Really, that's. I mean, it's not on the click of the button, but it's relatively reasonably good. It's not just a greenfield implementation. And actually, the same we are doing for, or similar things we're doing for the ECCCS customers, where we also create a new mode in S/4HANA service that is allowing them to reuse many of the capabilities. But more of that in the next session then. Yeah,
that's the intention. I mean, Oliver, did you want to mention the migration service that our the consulting organization provides?
Yes, so there is a consulting service available by our services colleagues. That is, I mean, there are actually two things for SAP CRM customer. One is there is a check, compatibility check available that goes through the SAP CRM system and pinpoints, analyzes, what is custom code in your SAP CRM system, what are you using, what is still used, or what is basically hasn't been used for a long time. And secondly, there is really a migration service, a consulting service available for migration. And actually, both probably, we'll dive deeper a bit in the next session.
All right, thank you. 2 more questions that came up in between.
Sure.
Are there any plans? Oh wait, there is another one before that. How can customers influence S4 service roadmap, if at all?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we are currently establishing a channel on influence.sap.com, continuous influence opportunity. For that, we already do have that for S/4HANA public cloud, and also we are now trying to open that or create one for the private cloud and on-premise editions.
Cool, that's great to know. And another one, also by Manish, are there any plans to reactivate the S4 service customer engagement initiative?
Yeah, that will kind of be the replacement of it, right? And we will have that channel, and the channel is actually a quite nice mechanism for voting, and for identifying topics and for having that discussion. Likely, we also do. Once we have shipped the 22 release, we could actually consider to open up to do again a customer engagement initiative for bringing together the community again and discussing about what works well, what doesn't work well.
Perfect. That sounds great. So something to look forward to. A, and another one, B, the upcoming part 2 then in October, November. Another question by Chris. We are already using S/4HANA 1909 with old CS orders. How can we transfer these to the new service orders?
Right. Yeah, good question. Again, that's something that we will discuss on the next session. Two options. One, if you could do that currently for the 1909 release, actually the CS orders, or to move from the CS orders to the new S/4HANA service orders, that will be a new implementation, because the orders really are different. Also, the way how the billing works is quite different in the new S/4HANA service orders compared to the CS orders. But in the 22 release, we plan to ship a variation of a new process in S/4HANA service that will make that transfer much easier. Just stay tuned to the next session. I will explain that there.
Yeah.
And take a look at the S/4HANA 22 release, please.
That's the latest, right?
Yes, that is the upcoming release in October.
So the October call will be well visited. Great that like there is so many content that we want to present then in the October call, for which I again posted a more specific link in our groups earlier, the event listing, and now the event listing directly for SAP community calls, where as soon as the three of us have set a date in October when we will present on all those interesting topics, you can basically directly in groups in the event listing indicate whether you will attend the event, and you also will have the opportunity to add the community call to your calendar, so to your Outlook. In YouTube, we will also have the event then already listed, or like the call listed, and here you can set a reminder, so you will be notified on when the call is coming up. Two more questions by Manish. In S4 service, does the user has to continuously switch between Fiori and Web UI?
It's a good question again, right? And I would answer, yeah, he's switching between Fiori and Fiori.
Yeah.
So if you look at Fiori,
that sounds interesting.
If you look at Fiori and what Fiori 3 is, and how Fiori evolved over time, and in the start, Fiori was kind of a technology, right? That was Fiori 1. But in the meantime, Fiori is more like a design language, right? And an experience, and that's something that is now where all of SAP, all SAP products are involved, and it's technology independent. There are different levels of Fiori. There are different ways how to accomplish Fiori compatibility using different technologies. And in S/4HANA service, we actually use different technologies, right? Actually, we're doing that, in fact. But from an experience perspective, we're trying to make it very similar, so that the user has just one experience, one Fiori 3 experience, no matter what technologies underlying.
Yeah, I mean, just I guess trying to clarify Manish's question, and also add on to Oliver, switching from Fiori to Fiori. I mean, if you from an end user's point of view, at least on the surface, there should be no switching, if you will. I mean, if an end user logs on to Fiori Launchpad, you see tiles, right, as menu. And one of them may be the UI5 Fiori application, and other tiles may be service order based on the web UI technology, but they are all presented in the same user menu, Fiori Launchpad. When you click on it, yes, you might have a different tab opening up, but it's kind of under the hood, and then end user probably won't even notice what the different technologies used underneath. It's probably another way of looking at it. So technically, yes, you may be switching between Fiori to Fiori, but it's in the browser.
Right.
Right.
And there's another question from Manish, right? Keeping us busy, which is good,
yes.
right? Thank you.
That's good. Yeah.
In S4 Service, is the CRM lift code optimized for HANA?
Yeah, and actually that's one of the things we did when we built S4HANA Service and we brought the code from SAP CRM to S4HANA Service. We did some significant changes, right? We just didn't want to. I mean, we wanted to have the beauty of the process that we have, which is a dedicated service process from SAP CRM. We want to bring that to S4, but really we wanted to reduce a lot of the complexity that a side-by-side system had, and this is why we did some underlying changes pretty low in the stack. And number one, we removed all replication, so all replication mechanism, all need for replication. So that's basically the system is just pulling data from the S4 database and from the other S4 master data as is, no replication required. And secondly, we simplified the data model and made it more HANA friendly. So this is why now we can run all the analytics in the S4 system that Noboru also showed. And yes, so the answer is yes. We did some optimization to, number one, reduce replication, and number two, optimize the data model for HANA in a more flat data form, better usable for analytics.
I mean, there's, I think, still the blog, very technically oriented blog about data model change from CRM data model to S4HANA Service. I think I'm going to dig up, and maybe we can add it to the list of links if that's of interest. It talks about the data model change that Oliver just pointed to in a very detailed way.
Yeah, cool.
At a table level, I think it's a blog.
Yeah, as soon, I mean, you can maybe share that in the blog post that you already published.
Yeah.
Maybe there in a comment.
Sure.
Just referring, saying that we talked about this extensively in our call.
Sure. Yeah, I'll try this.
Okay, one last question by Manish, as we have 2 minutes left. Is there an SAP note on what has been copied from CRM and what has been left behind or left out?
Yes, so there are 2 nodes, and I will post them right away, that explain code that was left behind, that was removed, right?
Okay, great. Perfect. Perfect timing. Thank you, Manish, for all your questions. Please connect with Noboru and Oliver in the SAP community. I shared their community profile links earlier in the chat. Reach out. I just say that now, but I guess Noboru and Oliver are totally fine with me saying that. Reach out to them when you have more questions, and definitely set your reminder for the upcoming part 2. And of course, we will inform you all via a blog post in the SAP community about that then soon. Thank you, Manish, for your time. Thanks to everyone for everyone's time, and we'll see you soon. Closing words from you too, Noboru, Oliver?
No, thank you very much for your interactions, and I hope you enjoy the show and also take away some elements from it. Thank you.
Yes, looking forward to meet you in autumn then for part 2.
Yeah, definitely.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Cheers.
See you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.